As Florida approves new standards for teaching black history in public school, Republican Governor Ron DeSantis is back in familiar territory, trading barbs with Democratic opponents over his controversial education policy. Over the last few days, he's sparred with Vice President Kamala Harris as he campaigns to replace her administration next year. And joining us now to talk about this is Florida Democratic State Representative Anna Eskamani. Representative, great to see you. Thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it. You were at the State Board of Education meeting this week when these new rules were approved. Let me ask you about this. Governor DeSantis was on camera in just the last couple of days defending this new education policy as it pertains to slavery, and I wanted to get your response. Let's watch.
Get your clarification on one thing within the policy. It says instruction includes how slaves develop skills, which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. Could you just explain?
Well, you should talk to them about it. I mean, I didn't do it, and I wasn't involved in it. But I think what they're doing is I think that they're probably going to show some of the folks that eventually parlayed, being a blacksmith into doing things later in life.
Representative Eskamani, do you know what he means by parlaying skills developed during slavery into another craft? What does that mean?
Well, Jim, I think Governor Ron DeSantis would really benefit from learning African-American history himself. I mean, he gives off the impression that he thinks people retired from slavery instead of addressing this egregious part of American history, a part of our history that we don't want to repeat. And it's also really offensive that he acts like he has nothing to do with it. The Board of Education is appointed by the governor. These are his allies. He's appointed a Moms for Liberty extremist on our Board of Education. So not only is he responsible for this, but he clearly does not understand the facts of African-American history.
And you took issue with one instructional change at this week's board meeting, and it reads, instruction includes how slaves develop skills which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. And that appears to be what he was just saying a few moments ago in that video that we just played about some blacksmith or something. You could become a blacksmith after being a slave, which doesn't make any sense. How did the board respond when you raised objections to this?
So despite pleas from myself and others, including leaders in the African-American community, to not approve these standards, to go back and revisit these assumptions and correct them, the Board of Education approved them unanimously, really with no debate or opposition. So it just speaks to how in the state of Florida, we are degrading our education institutions, and really the impact will be felt by our students who are going to be misinformed, misguided, and at a severe disadvantage in working in diverse environments and just competing on a global scale.
And Florida's education commissioner argued that these changes to the curriculum will make it, quote, more robust, saying they were created by a group of educators and academics. What was your response to that?
Well, in fact, there's been a great deal of analysis of his statement and some of the attempts to justify the department's position in listing certain members in African-American history that the department says benefited. And not only have many of their examples been debunked as not actually even being enslaved themselves, but many of these individuals have no roots in Florida either. So much of the commissioner's attempt to do damage control are failing. And I'm grateful for the national outrage, because this isn't just happening in Florida, and unfortunately, Florida has been inspiring other extremists in other states to do the same thing. So we have to stop the buck here, or it's only going to get worse.
And I wanted to get your comment on one other thing that the governor is doing. Apparently, he's wading into another culture war issue. He's threatening legal action against a company that makes Bud Light for its marketing campaign with a transgender activist. Do you expect that he's going to go through with this? What was your response to that when you saw that?
We have some serious problems here in Florida, Jim, that our governor has been absent on, whether it's the rising cost of property insurance, the skyrocketing rental rates. Floridians cannot afford Florida. And instead of dealing with these issues, our governor continues to flail on the national stage and now is attempting to potentially sue a beer company. It's a sad state of affairs. It's another example of why we don't want Governor DeSantis running our state, and we definitely don't want him running the country.
All right, Florida State Representative Anna Eskamani, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it as always.